Hello everyone, very good morning. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper class. Extremely apologetic for the delay. So good morning and welcome to the news class today. I'm Saumya and like every day we analyze the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper, but since yesterday was the festival, today we have no Hindu. So there was no Delhi edition for the Hindu that was released today. So initially, we had a doubt whether we should have this class or should I put a disclaimer saying the same. But then I thought it's a great opportunity to cover up the news that are making the headlines. So we may not have a lengthy class like every day because there is no class. Yeah, it's not there. But what I have done is that I have looked at Economic Times and PIB and some other important news sources. And then I've just taken few headlines here, as you can see on your screen. We have about six important headlines that are important. So missing one day would be like, losing the momentum of the news analysis. So I won't take very long. I won't take much of your time, but then in say about 45 minutes to 1 hour, let's try to complete all these important headlines with the map, of course, so that we maintain that link and momentum. Okay. So sorry for the delay. And here are the headlines for the day. So let's analyze them. A very good morning in the meantime to my students who are already a part of the class, like Sitaram, Rishi, Ramu, and Hari, Adi, Eric, Shubham, Khan, Madhav, Bulbul, Rubina, Priyanshu, Kritik, Sravati, Kaizan, Brajesh, Dev. Okay, wonderful. And many other code names out there. Neerat. All right, all right. Okay, so wonderful meeting you. Good morning, Abhilash and Saurav. Good morning, good morning. Most welcome. Yeah. So let us have a look at these headlines for the day. And that's it for the day then. No Hindu, but yes, some important news items coming your way. Now, the first news here talks about a very unsettling kind of a development. So we are looking at India-Pakistan border. Okay, so see, whenever you talk about India-China border, I have explained to my students with the map that India-China controversy typically is about three areas. You know that. The western is the Aksai Chin and the Galwan Valley in Ladakh. The middle conflicted area is Himachal and Uttarakhand. And in the third, the right side, again a very contested border, is Arunachal Pradesh, the earlier Nefa, because China calls it Zhangnan, South Tibet. Okay, so this is with China. There is no proper boundary with China. Since 1962 to now, both the leaders of both the countries have been meeting with each other repeatedly, and despite repeated efforts, there is no proper boundary, and therefore we call it LAC. It is not an international border because international border is the one that's recognized internationally. So we have none. So therefore we call it LAC. Similarly with Pakistan also, there is a difference. There is a difference between two things. Now one is the Radcliffe line and the other is the international border. And these are two different things. With Pakistan also, there is a lack of clarity on the exact border line. Pakistan does not accept the line, and Pakistan keeps on intruding into India's territory. That's why with Pakistan, we call it LOC, line of actual control or line of control. Today, the first news article is quite related to that because yesterday, a very shocking development happened in a place called Poonch in Samba and Samba. These both are districts of Jammu Kashmir in India. And we saw that Pakistani drones were detected in this area. And these drones are often known as UAE, unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAV, unmanned aerial transportation vehicle. We saw drones at the border. Previously, when we had noticed the drones, that was during Sindoor, Operation Sindoor. That's when we saw a lot of drones coming from Pakistan into India, reaching as close as to cities in Rajasthan also. Now, after that, for the first time, we are seeing drones coming from Pakistan. And all these drones have been found near LOC, line of control in India-Pakistan border, in two districts, Poonch and Samba in Jammu Kashmir. So I thought let's utilize this article. Let's understand what's the difference between international border and LOC. What has happened right now in Jammu Kashmir with special reference to a development from 1963. Yes, We all know about the Indo-China War, which happened in 1962. That's immediately after the Panchsheel Agreement during the time of Nehruji. Okay, China attacked us from both the sides. And we know that with China, since then we've never had any border settlement. But in 1963, Pakistan and China, they came together and they did something that is not okay with India. Yeah, I'm going to the map. That is not okay with India. They had a bilateral agreement. So, what is that agreement and what is the controversy about Shaksgam Valley? Let's talk about that. Okay, that's the first article for the day. Now, the second article which I chose is about America and Taiwan. Okay, so let's quickly understand China, Taiwan. Let's quickly understand why is America treating Taiwan as an ally. Yesterday, I told you in the news, America says in West Asia, Qatar, with its capital at Doha, is my largest non-NATO ally with largest American military air base known as Al Udeid Air Base. I showed you the location on the map. That's in Doha, in Qatar. Yes, yes. Today, America is saying Taiwan is a key ally that I have in the Eastern Hemisphere. Let's look at that. Let's look at one more shocking thing. Now, those of you who often talk about President Trump, who are smitten and obsessed with President Trump and his latest behavioral ups and downs, will also be very surprised to know that finally, if not directly, then indirectly, he got his needs met. He was throughout running behind Nobel Peace Prize. He wanted the Nobel Peace Prize, but he did not get it right. He didn't get it. So who got it in 2025? It was a pro-democracy leader in Venezuela named as Miss Maria Machado. She was the one who got the prize. But President Trump was unhappy about that. Today, finally, he has captured Venezuela and the President Maduro. Therefore, this lady who is the winner of Nobel Prize is now completely surrendered. She has given her Nobel Prize to President Trump. Rather than saying no, he has very gracefully accepted that medal. Now, is it not a question of ethics? GS paper 4 also. So, quick look into this. And then United Nations, one article from there. Then a small article from economics, very good Vikash, small article from economics, where we are looking at India's rising trade deficit, and we'll end it with Indian budget of 2026 and how it gives us special importance to rare earth minerals or critical minerals. That's it for the day. Let's start with the first article, of course, with the map. Yes. So good morning, Udit and Janvi and Kritik and Neerath. Absolutely, you're right, Kritik. She was forced to give the Nobel Prize. She was given it for her own contributions. But out of fear, she dedicated it to President Trump. Today, finally, she has given the medal to President Trump, who has also taken it. Now, that's quite strange because Nobel Prize Committee said 2 days before that it's not valid. One person cannot give the prize to another person. It's unacceptable. It defeats the purpose of these prizes, these recognitions. But today, what has happened is again a shock. It shows that with money and with power, you can get whatever you want in the world. Yes? Okay. So, have a look at the first article for the day. Absolutely. That's what it looks like, Hari. Very good, Rajneeshwar. Let's begin with the first article of the day. Now, this is typically GS paper 2 because we are looking at international relations. We are looking at Indo-Pak relationship. What has happened? Now, we know that with Pakistan, listen carefully, with Pakistan in the last few months, relationships have not been smooth. There are 2-3 developments that we must mention here. Now, one development comes saying that in Pakistan, recently, we saw there was an amendment known as 27th Amendment Act. This has amended Pakistani constitution in such a way that the military leaders are getting complete immunity from any kind of criminal proceedings. Pakistan is once again becoming a complete military state with Field Marshal, Air Marshal, General Asim Munir becoming the real de facto de jure leader of Pakistan. He's the one who's going to America. He's the one who's signing pacts with Saudi. He's getting international recognition. And now he's immune. No kind of criminal proceedings can be done against him. So Pakistan is once again completely in military leadership. That's one development that is upsetting to India. Second, right after Operation Sindoor and Pahalgam attack, there are countries like Turkey, there are countries like Saudi, there are countries like America which have failed to support India on the global forum. We all know what Pakistan did during Pahalgam terror attack in Jammu Kashmir was an act that breaks down United Nations Charter 2 by 4. One country cannot give space to terror organizations to attack another country. Pakistani government says we are not involved in the attack, but it's a reality that all these non-state actors of terror, whether it's Lashkar-e-Toiba, whether it's Jaish-e-Muhammad, all these are eventually based out of Pakistan, and they are very active in Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Yes, India naturally had to do self-defense under United Nations Article 51. And in self defense, India lodged Operation Sindoor, but India could not get global support here. Okay. Now, third problem. Third upsetting development happened as not only in America is Asim Munir getting a very warm welcome, the real cause of worry is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, the same country to whom Pakistan had refused any kind of military help during 2015 Yemen war, today is making a bilateral treaty with Pakistan known as SMDA, Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement. Attack against one is attack against another. Both the countries are very close. Saudi is ready to supply subsidized oil, gas, minerals to Pakistan. In return, Pakistan will give security, army, military help, weapons, perhaps nuclear technology as well to Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is insecure. Saudi Arabia is insecure in West Asia because of rising Irani power, Iran's nuclear uranium enrichment, at the same time, Israeli power. So Saudi is insecure. And therefore, Saudi needs Pakistani help. And we saw this is the third development, which is very upsetting. And then recently, in Saudi Arabia, General Asim Munir was given the highest civilian honor. Plus, President Trump kept on saying that Operation Sindoor could have become a nuclear war if America would not have interfered in between. And then comes China angle. China, who is a great supporter of Pakistan, you see, all these things have created a big tension between India and Pakistan. Yes, we know that. Now, yesterday, what happened? There are drones that we have detected, and where are these drones coming from? Now, these drones are coming into an area that is known as Poonch, and in another district that's called Samba. Now, both these are located in Indo-Pakistan border. You can see here the western map from Jammu Kashmir. Both are located in Indo-Pakistan border. And if you look at Poonch, the main area where we saw the drones, then this is actually located along the line of control. If you look at Samba, another district where we found drones coming from Pakistan, yes, so they are located in the Ramgarh sector. Samba is located in the Ramgarh sector along the international border. Now, I am using two different words here. I am saying in Poonch, we saw drones, but Poonch is in LOC. We saw drones in Samba. Samba is in IB, international border. What's the difference between IB and LOC? Let's understand that. But in return, just few days before, a similar drone activity was seen in the Rajouri district. What is India's response? As a result, India was also a little panicky. Now, this looks very dangerous. So, therefore, India launched something that is known as Security Forces Anti-Unmanned Aerial System. This is known as this is what India has activated, and anti-UAS. I repeat, anti-UAS. What is that? It's a technology against drones. Anti-Unmanned Aerial Systems. That's what India has launched. Plus, Indian troops also opened fired in order to intercept these suspected drones. There was firing on the border. Third, high alert happened along the entire line of control. Why is this so important to us? It shows a new security challenge as India is grappling with China. Now look at China also. From 2020 Galwan Valley clashes to 2025, there was peace between India and China. There was no escalation near the border. In fact, when India and China met at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Beijing, both the countries looked very friendly to each other. They warmed up by restarting bilateral trade, by talking about easy visa for both India and China residents. They spoke about the Tianjin Declaration, in which India, China, Russia emerged as a great trio, anti-US trio. But once again, Just few days before, China has now started making infrastructure, and China has interfered in an area that is known as Shaksgam Valley. Shaksgam Valley, a very strategic location because it is located just above the Siachen Glacier, the highest battlefield in the world. Siachen Glacier. This is where China is now trying to interfere. Why? Let me come to that. Before that, why is it problematic? Pakistani drone in Jammu Kashmir, Poonch and Samba. It is dangerous because it shows tomorrow one more time infiltration can happen. It shows the sensitivity of LOC as well as IB. It shows India's counter drone preparedness and how prepared are we to manage future drone based warfare systems. Yes? Now, a bigger question develops here. What is the difference between IB and LOC? How will you differentiate line of control from international border? So let's listen carefully. Now, if you look at Poonch and Rajouri areas, both these are located in LOC. These are military controlled lines. Okay, but then if you look at Samba in Ramgarh district, then that is located along the international border. What's the difference? Let's understand. When you look at LOC, line of control, you are talking about in Jammu Kashmir a military control line. Now understand that it's not an internationally acceptable boundary. No. LOC is not recognized internationally. It is not an international boundary. It is the India-Pakistan boundary in Jammu Kashmir. It is controlled by Indian military. When did it came into picture? LOC was decided through the Shimla Agreement 1972. LOC was decided by Shimla Agreement 1972, although it is marked on maps, but it is not fully fenced everywhere. Throughout LOC, you don't see a proper fencing, a proper boundary demarcation. That is why it is called a porous border. There is often cross-border infiltration that keeps happening here. It's military controlled. It is not recognized internationally. But then what is IB? What is international border? International border covers beyond Jammu Kashmir. Let me quickly write down here to avoid confusions. Line of control, LOC, is based in Jammu Kashmir. It is not internationally recognized. Now I'm talking about IB. Very well explained, Ramu. International border. International border is not just Jammu Kashmir. It spans through states like Punjab, then Rajasthan, then Gujarat and some parts of Jammu. This is the international border. It is legally recognized boundary between the two countries. It is based on Radcliffe Line 1947. Let me write down here. It is based on Radcliffe Line Agreement 1947, whereas LOC was based on Shimla Agreement 1972. That's the difference between the two. Okay, do understand that. Now let's also understand IB, international boundary, that is among all these states, that is internationally recognized, is also clearly demarcated. It is properly fenced and it is managed by a body called BSF, Border Security Forces. It is not managed alone by military, unlike the LOC. I hope it's clear. If that is clear, then what is the new Shaksgam Valley controversy? You can have a look at Shaksgam Valley here in the map. Can you see how strategically located it is just above the Siachen Glacier? Can you see it is located in a part that is Pakistan occupied Kashmir? Yes. On the right side, Aksai Chin. Yes. Now, what is Shaksgam Valley? What is this and what's the controversy? Now, please understand. Absolutely, it's sharing border with East Pakistan previously. That is Bangladesh. Now, again, that is a conflicted porous border. But now it is between India and Bangladeshi government. Officially, Pakistani involvement will not be there. Yes, that is internationally recognized, Ramu. That's valid. Yes, yes. Yeah, border security forces that specifically take care of border patrolling and cross-border safety. Okay, so that is with regards to your IB, international boundary. It is recognized globally. Because there is no global agreement on LOC, that is why whenever there is infiltration, world countries do not interfere in it at all. There is no way you can go and complain to the United Nations because there is no international acceptance of the border. And therefore, it's always a matter of bilateral issue. People reject it saying it's a bilateral problem. We can't say anything to Pakistan. Why? Because there is no proper agreement on that. And that is the difference between LOC and IP. Now, coming to Shaksgam Valley, you are seeing on the map right now Shaksgam Valley. You can see it is a part of Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Now, what is Shaksgam Valley and what is the problem? Please be very clear about it. We are going to 1963 now. Okay, so understand carefully that recently China is trying to build infrastructure, highway, roadway, military settlements in the Shaksgam Valley area. Now, look how sensitive it is for India. It is located just to Siachen Glacier. Now, Siachen Glacier is an area that is used by Indian military. If you are in Siachen Glacier, the elevation is so high that from there you can manage and you can survey every military activity that's being taken in Pakistan or China. It is almost like President Trump's access to Greenland. From his base in Greenland, Thule Air Base, the Pitufik Air Base, he can actually watch what the Russian military is doing in that area. His Russian's missile can be properly observed from there. Just like Coco Island, controlled by Myanmar Janta. If you are in Coco Island, you can properly observe what India is doing in Andaman and Nicobar. It's a strategic point. Just like that, from Siachen, we can keep a watch on the advancement of Chinese military or Pakistani military. It's a key battlefield for us. Unfortunately, Shaksgam Valley is very near that. It's a dry area. It's an uninhabited area. It's rocky. It's very cold. It's a very harsh climatic condition area. Now, China is trying to enter that area and claiming it as a part of Chinese territory. China is building infrastructure. China is making roads and projects there. But India has objected. India says, no, you cannot do that. It is not a part of China. It is a part of India's sovereign ownership. Yes, India says it is Indian territory and India does not agree to the 1963 agreement that took place between China and Pakistan. What happened in 1963? Although Shaksgam is a part of India, but because it's Pakistani occupied Kashmir, Pakistan was monitoring this area for a long time. As a result, in 1963, Pakistan decided, without telling India, without asking India, without informing India, Pakistan took an action of giving away Shaksgam Valley to China. Pakistan unilaterally gave it to China. And they had a bilateral boundary agreement in which Pakistan completely ceded Shaksgam to China. But India says, I don't recognize this agreement. It is an invalid, illegal agreement because Shaksgam is a proper part of India's Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh Union territory. India says, we consider the 1963 treaty as illegal because India was not involved and Pakistan had no right to transfer it to China. Now, the real problem is, although India has rejected this treaty, but since then to now, even India has not done any military action in that area. Had we taken a military initiative, then probably our position would have been way more clear. But then we could not militarily claim it so far. And today, China is not ready to listen to that. Pakistan and China are both defending the 1963 agreement, but India is rejecting that. Now it has become a diplomatic issue. If you would have taken a military action long back, probably things would have been more clear, but that could not happen. Now, why is it becoming a major security issue? Because it's next to Siachen. It is next to Trans-Karakoram. Karakoram Pass, very crucial for Indian Army and Indian military. But China keeps on building roads there, and it has raised strategic concerns for India. It is very close to Siachen, very close to Karakoram. It helps Indian Army monitor Chinese and Pakistani movements. So we cannot give it, not at all. But that's what China is saying. Now this relates to another problem between India, Pakistan and China. And this is about CPEC. You all understand the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative of China, which is very closely related to China's policy of string of pearls. China is trying to have an access to all the commercial and military proper ports across the globe. For example, starting from Hambantota, Sri Lanka to Gwadar, Pakistan. All these ports are to Djibouti, Africa. All these ports are claimed by China. Now, under the same policy, China has used an area that is in Gilgit-Baltistan. It is in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, but it is a part of India's territory. But China is making the Belt and Road Initiative pass from there. The infrastructure of BRI passes from there. Why? Because China says, I am using Pakistani area. But officially, it is not Pakistani area. It is under illegal Pakistani occupation. It is Pakistan occupied Kashmir. It is not Pakistan. And India blames that. India says you cannot let your infrastructure of BRI, your economic corridor, this is known as China Pakistan Economic Corridor. India says you can't pass the CEPEC through India. It is Pakistan occupied, but it is India. And that is also becoming a security challenge. So, right now in this area, there is a multifold security challenge. One is coming from CPEC itself, and the other today has started in Shaksgam Valley. Plus, already Arunachal is a matter of contention, so is Aksai Chin. So, you see, India China border conflict is far from settled. It is still very big security concern for India. So do remember all these areas. Do remember Shaksgam, remember Siachen, remember Trans Karakoram, Karakoram Pass. You should be thorough with the map here. Understand the difference between LOC, LAC, and international boundary. Remember 1963 China-Pakistan agreement that India calls illegal. Remember string of pearls, BRI and CPEC that again India calls illegal. Very good, Terukula. Now, as a response to China's illegal BRI project, China's string of pearls policy, India has launched a counter to that. One counter is IMEC, India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, that has crucial ports like Chabahar Port, very near to Gwadar Port, Chabahar, Iran. Yes. Second is, very good as Terukula says, the diamond necklace strategy. India says, if you are making string of pearl, I will also create my infrastructure around you. I will even surround you. And that is called as diamond necklace strategy of India. Very good. Great. Answers are rolling in. Let's see the question. Consider the following statements regarding Shaksgam Valley. 1. Shaksgam Valley is also called Trans-Karakoram Tract. Second, it was given to China by Pakistan under a bilateral agreement of 1963. 3. India recognizes this agreement as legally valid. And 4. The region lies north to Siachen Glacier and has a great strategic significance for India. Which of these are true? Most students are saying A is the right answer, and A is the right answer. Absolutely, we can eliminate the third statement. India says it's an illegal agreement. China and Pakistan had no right to do that. Okay, so it is illegal. Both. This is also illegal. China-Pakistan economic corridor is also illegal under BRI because it also passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So well answered. A will be the right answer. Great Hari, Shubham, Nirat, Kaizan, Anup, Madhav, Terukula, Priyanshu. Today Kojumba is not there. Eric, I have seen already. Well done. Well done, Ramu. Very well answered there. Rajnishwar, Sumedh, Kritik, Eric. Very good, Sitara. Excellent, Shubham. Well answered. Brilliant. Quickly, the next one. The next article is coming from GS paper 2 as well as GS paper 3. 2 because we are looking at international relations, and 3 because we are looking at economy, trade deficit, FTA, free trade agreements. Yes, they were absolutely Akhtar, but still you answered correctly. Well done, Janvi Akhtar. Now look at this article, please. This article is looking at America and Taiwan. You all know about Taiwan. We have seen the map. Again, we are going to see today. The article says America and Taiwan have signed a $250 billion trade deal with each other, and America has finally reduced the tariff on Taiwan in a big way. Okay, so just like America has reduced it on Japan and South Korea, America has also reduced tariff on Taiwan. A very good question here. Where is Taiwan? What is the Taiwan controversy? And why is Taiwan an ally of America? Let's have a look at all these. So here comes Taiwan. You've seen the map before. Let's have a look at it again. If you see China as this white big territory here on this map, okay, then you might also see conflicting regions like Hong Kong, like Taiwan. Both these are very conflicted area. Why are they conflicted areas? Because China believes in a bigger policy known as One China policy. Under this policy, there is another policy named as One country, two system. One country, two system. Under one country, two system, China claims Hong Kong. China says Hong Kong can be autonomous internally, but I will control Hong Kong. Under one country, two system policy. Similarly, China has throughout, since 1945, put its claims on Taiwan. But why is Taiwan such a disputed area that all goes back to the Second World War? It was in 1945, as the Second World War was coming to an end, everything was becoming stable. It was Japan who used to have Taiwan. But after getting defeated in the Second World War, Japan gave away Taiwan. Japan surrendered Taiwan to China. Okay, that is clear that after Second World War, Japan gave Taiwan to China. Fine. Then what is the problem? The problem is within China, there is an internal civil war that happened. The main People's Republic of China that continued to rule the mainland China. It was here. But a small group, it broke down and it settled in Taiwan. Okay. Now Japan says, I give Taiwan back to China. But Japan does not clarify. Under San Francisco Treaty, Japan does not clarify that whether Japan has returned this Taiwan to the Chinese party in mainland China or the small Chinese leadership based in Taiwan itself. And that's the controversy all about. The party that was ruling Taiwan says, Japan gave it to me and we are autonomous now. We have nothing to do with mainland China, but the mainland China and the communist government in China says, no, it was returned to China and China will always be only one. That's the mainland China. So therefore, we have all the control on Taiwan. Since then, it has been a matter of battle, controversy, conflict. Taiwan believes it should get autonomy, independence, its own government, its own foreign policy. Although many countries in the world continue to recognize Taiwan, they do trade with Taiwan, they also have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but whether Taiwan is actually a part of bigger China, that nobody has clarified. Nobody. This is also the reason why sometimes in international groupings like APEC, APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Forum, in this APEC, APEC also, although Hong Kong and Taiwan are members of this body, but even they say we don't recognize them as sovereign countries. Our members are only economies. We don't call our members countries because we don't know really what is the sovereign status of Hong Kong or Taiwan. Nobody knows that. It is completely a confusing thing to say. Whether you call them separate countries, whether you call them part of China, no one knows. Okay, so that's the controversy right now, beautifully reminded by Terupula. APEC, a body that has 21 members. India really wanted to become a member. India was pushing for membership since 1991, but unfortunately, since 1991, APEC has banned new members. It doesn't admit new members at all. Okay? Yes? Very good. And APEC is all about economic cooperation. It doesn't recognize countries as sovereign nations, only economies, and that's the reason why Taiwan and Hong Kong are a part of this. Okay? Having said that, now Taiwan is a matter of big controversy ever since Japan gave it back. Today, what is going on? Taiwan is also one country which gets continuous support from America. It is in fact America's arms, weapons, and money that have enabled Taiwan to keep its status alive against China. Recently, China has also tried to capture Taiwan completely by launching an operation, very good Terukula, named as Operation Justice 2025. From north, south, east, west, China has completely surrounded Taiwan 4 months before. It was Japan that decided to place a small medium range missile in an area in an island north of Taiwan named as Yonaguni. Yonaguni Island. As soon as Japan put this missile, China retaliated. China said, no, Japan has no right to put any missile system near Taiwan because Taiwan is a part of me. And since then, Operation Justice has been going on. It has been completely surrounded from China by all the sides. Now, President Trump sees this as a great advantage. President Trump understands that America has only one threat in the world that's a real threat, and that's China. Why? Economically, China is a rising economy. as most other countries are facing trade deficit, devaluation of their currency. It is China that's a rising, galloping economy. It's a growing economy. It is China that maintains a great monopoly on supply chain of critical minerals and rare earth material. China has a great command on electronic goods, API, pharmaceutical raw material. Very good, Terukul. Yes. China is the ruler, the supreme, uncrowned king of the South China, East China, and Indo Pacific. We all know that. Now, if America is a ruler in Caribbean and Pacific and Atlantic, it is China that rules in South China, East China, and Indo Pacific. Today, the world is practically divided between these two poles. Russia is again a powerful nation in terms of defense, but when you look at economy, then nobody can compete US after US China. China is soon now trying to compete with America when it comes to economic growth, and President Trump knows it is a matter of fear. It is a great fear. That is why, for President Trump, Taiwan is a very good platform. If you can have a control on Taiwan, you can also deflect and push back China in the strategic South China area. Yes, which has one of the greatest reserves in the ocean, which also sees too many strategic points and sea trade lanes passing from here. Now, President Trump sees this as an opportunity. He has always supported Taiwan with money, military. Today, what has happened? Today, President Trump has supported Taiwan again against China. He tells Taiwan, keep fighting for your independence, something what he's telling people in Iran, that keep protesting, completely defeat your government. And then we will send a man called Reza Pahlavi, who's a US representative. He's doing same thing in Taiwan. So today what has happened, America and Taiwan have signed a major trade agreement. Under the trade agreement, America has reduced the tariff on Taiwanese goods from 20%. The tariff has been reduced to 15%, just like it has been reduced in the case of Japan plus South Korea. Now you might be wondering, a natural question should come in your mind, that if he is not reducing tariff on Brazil, India, Mexico, Russia, sanctions on Russia, many other countries, then why is he being so kind and so nice towards Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan? Why? Because all these countries are technology hubs. All these countries are a leader when it comes to critical minerals and electronic goods. America needs that. It's a need based thing. China also rules, but can America take from China? Absolutely not. America knows that despite President Trump having met President Xi Jinping of China in the G2 summit, America knows China is unreliable. America knows you can't trust China at all. So why can't we see alternatives? Recently, we have signed Pax Silica also. Yes, to reduce China's monopoly on critical minerals. If you can't take it from China, you will have to depend on all these countries, which are superpowers in technology. Yes, so what has happened? He has reduced the tariff now. And what will Taiwan do in return? Very good, Terukula and Priyamvada. What will Taiwan? Very good. The G2 summit, now Terukula has reminded, so let me write down. It happened in Busan in South Korea. Okay, either it was Jeonju or Busan. That was the confusion we had in the last class. I leave it to you to decide. It was in South Korea. Okay, now coming back, Bacha, listen carefully. In return, what will Taiwan do? Taiwan in return is now going to invest $250 billion in American technology sector. Semiconductor, artificial intelligence, energy, renewable energy. Why? Why does America need the help of Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan? Why? Because it is a part of President Trump's policy to reduce trade tariff exclusively and selectively on only few countries. Quite last year, he did a similar deal with European Union and Japan also. Why? Because he knows today that if I cannot depend on China for REE, for critical minerals, for manpower, it is countries like Japan and South Korea that are going to give me the technology. These are superpowers of technology. Today, America needs that technology. You see, who will go and do work in America? America may have money and resources, but who will conduct the midstream and downstream operations? Who will give the technology in making AI more developed? Who will give the technology in processing, mining, and eventually using, recycling materials like critical minerals? America doesn't have the right manpower. If it has, it's very expensive. It doesn't have that much population. India, against India, he has already given 50% tariff plus now again 25% against Iran. He has stopped H1B visa. He is doing a lot of negative things with India. The relation is under stress right now. China is already an enemy. So what choice do you have? He has to diversify into Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan if he really wants sophisticated technology. Now, China, which claims Taiwan as a part of its territory, is criticizing this deal today. It is saying it is again a part of economic imperialism coming from America. It's an economic plunder that America is doing in Taiwan. But after the agreement, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company will be the leading company which is going to make investment in America. It is world's largest chip maker and it supplies to companies like Apple, Nvidia. Yes, today it's going to really invest a lot of money, $250 billion in America. It will create jobs. It will create more technology boost. It will create AI boom. 35% rise in net profit is expected. Revenue will go up to 21% in just 1 year. Capital expenditure for 2026 will shoot up to $56 billion. What else does America want? Okay, so now this company itself, Taiwanese Semiconductor Company, is Asia's most valuable company. Its shares increased to 59% in just 1 year. And America sees this as a very positive investment to meet AI driven global demand. Now, why is AI so important here? Because AI growth has increased demand for advanced AI chips also. There are big companies like Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet that depend heavily on AI infrastructure. And despite the concerns of too much energy demand, environment protocol, Taiwanese company says it is us who can actually push and create the kind of supply that the globe wants today. Okay, and what are the benefits of this deal? Clearly, it's a mutualistic deal. Both will benefit. How will America benefit? It will boost semiconductor manufacturing in America. Now, everybody has heard the word offshoring. Do you all know the word offshoring? If I'm trying to send work away from my country to another country, it's called offshoring. But if I'm trying to call laborers and get the work done within my country, it is known as the opposite of offshoring. It becomes reshoring. Reshoring. Today, it will help America in reshoring, creating domestic semiconductor manufacture, creating world class industrial parks, creating dependence on foreign chip supply chain, mainly China. And how will it help Taiwan? It will lower Taiwanese tariffs. Good for Taiwan economy. It will expand the global reach of Taiwanese tech model. It will deepen strategic and economic cooperation with America. It will be a great protection against China. Tariff exemptions. Tariff exemptions have been given to Taiwan in pharmaceutical, in aircraft components, in electronic goods. Now, many extra benefits will also be given to Taiwanese semiconductor firms. So, what is going on today is looking like a very economic agreement. America and Taiwan. It looks like America is only doing this to reshore and to get more semiconductor manufacturing, more benefit. But in reality, it is also a counterbalance against Chinese continued domination in Taiwan. And that's the reason China is unhappy with this deal. Very unhappy with this deal. Plus, it also shows hypocrisy of America. Treating countries the way you want to. You are least bothered about any kind of transparency. You are not following any rule based order. You are pushing tariffs, slapping tariffs just whenever you feel the need to. Recently, on India, we have a threat of another 25% tariff because India trades with Iran. It is because of President Trump that India and Iran have completely stopped their oil trade. Today, the trade is happening, as I told you, in pistachio, apple, carpet, and all that. So it has declined in a big way. But again, putting 25% tariff is a complete misuse of the protocol itself coming from World Trade Organization. So that was for this article. Quickly, the question, please. Answers are coming from Terukula Priyanshu Sumedh. With reference to the U.S. Taiwan deal, look at these statements. 1. The agreement has reduced American tariff on Taiwan goods to the same level as those applied earlier to Japan and South Korea. Second, Taiwan has agreed to invest $250 billion in America, mainly in semiconductor, AI, and energy. And 3, China has been happy. China has welcomed the deal and says it will stabilize the cross-strait economic relations. Is that true? Neeraj, Shubham, Rajneeshwar, and any other student who wants to answer. What about Bulbul and Priyamvada? What about Sitaram and Eric? What about my dear Ramu? And what about Vikash? What about other students? Yes, that's absolutely right, Abhilash. Anybody else who wants to answer? Anyone who's having a confusion here? Okay. Yes, elimination method works wonders. I'll never deny that. Kaizan and Anup are answering. So has Ramu answered. Okay, and absolutely all of you are right here. Very good, Aktopam. Great, Urupam. It is A, no doubts about that. Yes, first is right. Second is right. Third is totally opposite. China is very unhappy. You all know China is trying to capture Taiwan. Just now, Terukula said. Operation Justice Mission. Yes, Yonaguni Island controversy. China saying one China policy, one country, two system. China owns Taiwan. Just like America has Monroe Doctrine to capture Latin America, China has its own doctrine, one China policy to capture Taiwan. China is never happy when any country treats Taiwan with respect or sovereignty. China is never happy about that. So China is absolutely unhappy today as President Trump is doing this great investment with Taiwan. It's not happy. It's insecure. So that's why last is not valid. So well done, Priyanshu. Well done. Great Hari. Great Janvi. Okay. Trembhi. Good. Now, next article quickly. We are looking at Venezuela. So please look at the map of Venezuela. You all know Venezuela map is right here. The heart-shaped country that is in the top northern part of South America. We also call it Latin America. Okay. Definitely I can talk about that. Let's bring an article on that, Kritik, and let's talk about the lobby system. Plus, I would want to talk about another very interesting thing tomorrow that's called Havana syndrome. It's a very intriguing thing, but I do want to talk about it. Or maybe I can make a video on that also. It's called Havana syndrome. Very interesting. Okay. So yes, Kritik is also mentioning something very interesting. Lobby system. Let's bring that up tomorrow. Thank you so much, Terukula. So kind of you. I'm obliged. Very good, Sitaram and Kazu. Now let's have a look here, please. We are looking at Latin America. The northern part of Latin America, a country called Venezuela with its capital as Caracas. Why was it in the news? It was in the news because of three reasons. Let's quickly write down. The first reason was Operation Southern Spear. President Trump was trying to capture the oil tanks, oil the ships, and all the commercial vessels in the area here. This is known as Caribbean Sea. Why? Because President Trump said Venezuela and Colombia are doing drug terrorism. Opium and fentanyl kind of drugs are produced in these countries, and the leaders of these countries are drug mafias. All these oil tankers don't have oil. They are carrying narcotics. Did President Trump have an evidence? Sorry, he did not have an evidence. But that's how the world works. He has power. And he captured all the oil tankers one by one. He started with Bella 1. Then after Bella 1, which one was captured? What were the oil tanks? Sophia. Yes? Then which other one? Bella 1, Sophia, Skipper, and one more. All these oil tankers were captured centuries. Very good. All these were captured one by one. Now, most of these oil tankers were sending oil to a poor country like Cuba. Cuba has a destroyed economy. We have studied Cuba in detail. The 1962 missile crisis also. Cuba got caught up between the Cold War controversy. On the one side was USSR, on the one side was America. But the Cuban leadership, Fidel Castro, the leader of Cuba, he decided to become pro-Russia. He decided to become pro-USSR. And USSR, to protect him, started putting missiles on Cuba. America did not like that. And since then, America is a key enemy of Cuba. Venezuela was a key supporter of Cuba. All the cheap oil, gas, and basic supply used to go from Venezuela. And all these oil tankers were taking oil to Venezuela only, to Cuba only, from Venezuela and Colombia. But President Trump did not like that. He said no, because both are his enemies. No, Maduro was his enemy. So was Cuba. And therefore, he attacked Venezuela in another operation, this time known as Absolute Resolve. After Southern Spear, Absolute Resolve. Venezuela was captured midnight. Secret military operation. President Maduro captured. Broken down United Nations Charter Article 2 by 4. Completely broken down. Used threat, used force, took him up. Now he is trying to put a symbolic leader in the country. And he says, I will totally rule Venezuela. Because Venezuela has gone to America, absolutely Cuba is not going to get any help anymore. Nothing will go to Cuba. Cuba will also become a more poor and a more devastated country. Eventually, perhaps he will also go and take away Cuba. But he hasn't stopped there. Till date, Russian flagged ships and tankers are being captured in the Caribbean, in the North Atlantic. Why? President Trump calls them shadow fleet. Who said shadow fleet right now? Some student was mentioning shadow fleet. Kritik said, very good. Shadow fleet. Ships that are not classified by the International Association of Classification Society. Ships that are illegal. And America is capturing them one by one by one. That's the situation right now in Venezuela. Venezuela has become a proxy colony of America right now. Yes, that's the reality. So now today what has happened? Now that he has completely captured Venezuela, broken all the global protocols, he is also threatening at the same time nations like Cuba, Colombia, Greenland. It was the leader, the pro-democracy leader of Venezuela, the same lady who got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2025, named as Maria Corina Machado. This lady got the Nobel Peace Prize, but since then, President Trump was very unhappy. Countries like Pakistan and Israel were doing some kind of ego satisfaction of President Trump. Pakistan said President Trump should get Nobel Prize. Later, Israel also said he should get Nobel Prize. Israel also gave its topmost peace prize to President Trump recently. And President Trump got a very big ego boost and he said, I should get the Nobel Prize. After all, I am the man who has tried to create peace between Azerbaijan, Armenia, Thailand, Cambodia, Russia, Ukraine, Palestine, Israel, India, Pakistan. Today I'm trying to also create stability and civil rule in Venezuela. I deserve that prize, but sadly he didn't get it. It was given to Miss Maria. Now, because he has completely captured Venezuela, he has created a kind of power colonialism in this region that yesterday, as Miss Maria has met President Trump to discuss the future of Venezuelan government, she has surrendered her Nobel Peace Prize medal to President Trump. It's like if I cannot have something directly, I will still take it indirectly. Nobody can stop me. Yes. So meeting happened in White House in America where they took away. He took away her Nobel Prize medal. Now, for the first time, we have seen something so frivolous happening in the world. Nobel Prize Committee previous week also responded to a question from America. President Trump asked a question, can I take Nobel Prize back from Miss Maria? And Nobel Committee said, sorry, you can't do that. It defeats the purpose of the prize itself. But today he has taken it by hook or by crook. Very good, Derukula. Against DRC, Rwanda. Absolutely, he did that, right? He is also trying to find peace in Taiwan. Yes, he should not get Kaizen, but then he has taken the prize now through force, by hook or by crook. America says it is a historic day, as I have now formally taken the award from her. Venezuela and its people realize that President Trump can only make it a better place to live in. And finally, President Trump is now deciding what kind of a puppet government to put in Venezuela. Because ultimately, his purpose is not to rule Venezuela. His purpose is to take away all the oil reserves in Venezuela. Venezuela has rich oil reserves, thick, rich oil reserves. Unfortunately, most of them could not be refined and utilized because the country was never having technology. The country was completely rooted in poverty and narcotic terror. Today he says, my private companies from America will take all this oil. Most of the money will go to US and the remaining money will be used to help Venezuela. Yes, so this once again is quite a shocking piece of news, but that's how it is. Now quickly the next article, please. Yes, that's what he says, Ramu. He says, I was the one who conducted peace during Operation Sindoor. Otherwise, India, Pakistan would have fought with each other. They both are nuclear powers. I stopped nuclear war. I deserve the prize. So, Miss Maria, you better give it to me. Poor thing, she gave it. Now, next article quickly. United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, has made a very sad and a very provoking statement. He said that most of the countries today are breaking down United Nations protocols. He addressed United Nations General Assembly. Now, because I'm talking about UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, do not forget everyone that in 2025, we had the UNGA summit in a place called New York in America. And here also President Trump had shown a lot of tantrums. He did not allow Mahmoud Abbas from Palestine to attend the meeting. He did not allow him to do that. Okay, and even Israel could not come and attend the meeting because of criminal arrest warrants against Mr. Netanyahu. So Israel also conducted the meeting online. It was a very important meeting where India tried to bring together nations of the global south. Okay, now with that, yesterday Mr. Antonio Guterres, he gave a statement at United Nations General Assembly meeting for 2026. And what does he say? He says we have a great concern. We have a great concern, and the concern is that countries are repeatedly doing violence against each other. People have taken for granted the international law. Such behavior defeats the purpose of creating bodies like UN, which were created finally after the League of Nations was a failure. The reason we have bodies of United Nations, we have the Bretton Woods bodies like IMF and WTO. The reason behind having them is to create rule and order in a world after Second World War, because we want to prevent a Third World War from happening. We want to create a cooperation and coordination between various countries, most of whom are nuclear powers today. We don't want an abuse of international law. And that's why he's saying we completely condemn these actions. There are three cases he has mentioned that are causing concern. One, repeatedly all the countries are breaking down Article 2.4 of UN Charter by attacking each other and provoking each other unilaterally. He gave the example of Thailand, Cambodia. He gave the example of Russia, Ukraine. He gave the example recently of what President Trump has done to Venezuela. It is about using force against civilians. Second, he said, was unconstitutional changes of government in various countries. He was pointing out to sub-Saharan Africa. Repeatedly, there are military coups that are happening. Military coups that are happening. Okay? And because of that, countries are changing leaderships. We saw the Taliban in Afghanistan. We saw what's happening in Somalia. We saw what's happening in Iran. In other regions of sub-Saharan Sahel region of Africa, that's what he said. Third thing he said is that quietly the government is plundering the resources of the world. No one is ready to commit to a proper climate or peace action. These are three things he pointed out. Now, what examples did he give? He said, now I haven't got the map today. Now I regret, I should have got the map also. That's my bad. I apologize for that. But then you have already seen the map. We are looking at your favorite mnemonics here. We are looking at Russia, Ukraine. So he pointed out that in 2014, Russia for the first time had shocked the world when it captured Crimea in Ukraine border. From 2022, when the war has become more predominant, Russia is now quickly trying to capture areas like Luhansk, like Kherson, like Zaporizhia, okay, and many other regions, like the Donbass area. So there is a complete conflict in Russia, Ukraine. Russia has repeatedly invaded Ukraine. It has not even spared the nuclear power plant at Zaporizhia, creating radiation leakage. And that's completely beyond UN standards. Very good, Ram. Absolutely against that. Second thing he said was that funding of United Nations is also a problem. It is time when developed countries should have increased their funding into United Nations FCCC, Framework Convention on Climate Change. We have spoken about this. The same treaty, the same organization that was created back in 1992 as a part of Rio Earth Summit. Under this, we have two legally binding agreements that are applicable to all the countries. One is the 1997 Kyoto Protocol, that's only for developed countries. Then you have the 2015 Paris Agreement, that's for all the countries to reduce their carbon emission. Rather than funding these bodies, America is withdrawing its funding. Very good, Kritik. Came to force in 1994 and adopted in 1992. Very good, very good. He said America has withdrawn from World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, UN Women, UNFCCC, COP30, Gavi, United Nations Security Forces, peace building forces. It shows UN is not working the way it should have. He also said, unfortunately, what did he say? He said that unfortunately, 1% of the richest people in the world, they have 43% of all the resources of the world, and the remaining people are poor and deprived. This is morally indefensible, is what he says. He also says that this address given by me should be a reminder to most of the countries that please do not kill multilateralism. Multilateralism was developed after years of Cold War, after years of Second World War. Today, the world needs to understand the importance of multilateral agreements and multilateral bodies, UN being at the forefront. Defeating the purpose means giving countries a free right to do what they have to. And that is absolutely against the protocols of peace, protocols of cooperation. That's all. Quickly, the question. With reference to the recent statement made by Antonio Guterres, Secretary General to the UN. Yes, we are. Absolutely, Kaizen. Very well said. We are the highest contributors of United Nations peacekeeping forces. But at the same time, we do not have membership, permanent membership in UNSC. We do not have a veto power. Why? Because the world doesn't work on contribution. The world works on power, soft power and hard power. Very good question. Very ethical question. Quickly, the question. Look at these statements. One, the Secretary General warned that repeated violation of international law is weakening global cooperation and it is setting a dangerous precedent, dangerous example. Second, he criticized the illegal use of force, attack on civilians, humanitarian workers, and erosion of human rights across the world. Three, he highlighted that non payment or delayed payment of UN loans and dues by member states does impact the functioning of UN. And last, he described the concentration of wealth and power in the richest 1% of the world's population as morally indefensible. What's morally indefensible? Something you can't defend, something you can't support. It is very wrong. Which of these statements are correct? Pushpita, Terukula, Priyanshu, Hari, Neerath, Madhav, Rumi, Sumit, Sitaram. Very good. Well answered there. It's D, absolutely. And I'm sure all my dear students would be relating well to this question. Thank you, Sitaram. It is D. Well answered. All of these are valid. No doubts there. Very well answered. Now, quickly, one of the last articles for the day. India's trade deficit. That's right, Ramu and Sitaram. India's trade deficit has again increased to $25.04 billion in December. Very good, Eric. In December. Now, quickly, let me give you two-line backgrounder and initiate this article. Well done, Urupam and Aktopam also. Now, this article is looking at the economic problems that India is facing. Now, a very good situation would be that, bacha, why are we facing such a big economic problem? Why? The reason is all going back to May 2025. We today absolutely know that India is the fourth largest economy of the world. We recently overtook Japan and became the fourth largest. If I ask my students, then which are the top leading economies of the world? I'm sure you'll answer. The top is America. Which one is second? Followed by Germany. And then finally, India today. India has just overtaken Japan. That looks very good. That's amazing that we have a great economic productivity. We are doing quite well when it comes to keeping inflation in control. We are doing really well when it comes to maintaining a good GDP. But unfortunately, it was in May 2025 that President Trump, in order to settle his own scores, impacted and put on our country, on India, and other countries like Brazil, a tariff that was 25% on all the exported items from India to America. But just to threaten India, that stop importing oil against Russia. For those who are new, they might be asking why. Is America upset if we buy oil from Russia? It's a cheap oil. It is a sulfurized oil. It comes very quickly to us through Suez Canal. We are happy. What is your problem, Mr. Trump? Problem is there because Russia's war is with Ukraine. Ukraine is an ally of NATO. It may soon become a NATO member. It may soon become an EU member as well. NATO is dominated by America and EU. It was the duty of America to protect NATO, to protect Ukraine. America kept on funding and supplying Ukraine to encourage Ukraine to fight against Russia. Yes, so he was against Russia. He said, if you purchase Russian oil, you are financing the war in Ukraine against Ukraine. Yes. Absolutely. And therefore, he put sanctions on Russia. But India continued to buy that oil. I have told you many times, why did we buy that oil? We bought that oil because other options are not there. American oil is very good quality. It's very expensive. It comes through 4 different sea channels. Can't afford that. Second, West Asian oil. Good in quality. Cheap, affordable. But West Asia is also unstable right now. Russian oil is way more cheaper than West Asian oil also. Why? Because America has put so much sanctions on Russia after the war. EU has put so much sanctions that the price of Russian oil in 2025 January February fell from $7 per barrel to $3 per barrel. It became much more affordable than OPEC oil, West Asian oil. So we will buy that, right? President Trump was angry. He put another 25% tariff, total tariff on India now becoming 50%. I told you multiple times. America was our largest trading partner throughout, followed by UAE. America was the largest. The total value of Indian exported goods into American market were touching $48 billion in 2025. That's a lot of money. Now suddenly comes the tariff, 50% tariff. I, as an exporter who is exporting this one pen to America before the tariff, would get at least $10 benefit out of this deal. Now 50% tariff means this pen of mine will cost double or triple in American market. Why will American buy these? Why will American consumers buy this? They won't buy this. My market is lost. Now from $10, I may not even get few cents or maybe $1, or I may not get anything. I may not even be able to sell 100 of these pens in America today. It is triple the price. What happens to me as an exporter? I lost my income. I lost my profit. What happens to those whom I have employed in my factory to make these pens? These are labor intensive sectors. I may have 500 workers, 300 being women out of that. Poor people who are getting money from that, informal sector. My company is closing now. Nobody is buying no in America. It's an export company, it closes. What about the loss of employment? I am suffering. If 10,000 people like me are facing the same thing, my country is getting impacted. My entire export surplus money is getting impacted. That's what happened to India. All because of the tariff that was imposed, right? Because of this, India started experiencing trade deficit. Now, naturally, India's natural response was to diversify. Suddenly, if America will not buy this pen, will I sit quietly? Will I let 1 million of these pens go wasted? Will I close my company? I can't do that, right? So therefore, I have to find newer markets. If not America, then maybe Saudi, then maybe Australia, maybe Japan, maybe Mexico, Brazil, maybe Russia. I will have to, diversify my market now. That's what India got busy doing. Free trade agreement with EU, TIPA, CEPA, with UK, with Japan, Australia, with New Zealand, a big one. All this India was busy doing. But there is a difference. Please understand that difference. America is a massive market. $48 billion is a lot of money. If I was selling this in America, I was getting too much money. Now, rather than selling it to America, I'm selling it to small countries, small markets. New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Brazil, I will get some profit. But I can't get the same money that I was getting from here. If here I was getting $48 billion, in other places I have to work for 10 countries to be able to get half of this money. Naturally, it will impact my trade benefit or not. It will, right? It will impact my export income. And that's exactly what India started feeling in October 2025. Now, we did everything so that we don't get impacted. At domestic level, at global level. At global level, we kept on diversifying our trade with other countries. Repeatedly, we signed FTA. Repeatedly, we signed broader ones like CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. We were doing that absolutely continuously. At the domestic level also, we did so many changes. RBI tried to interfere. RBI said it is Diwali time, New Year time. What will Indians do if exposed surplus income is not there? Currency is devaluating. So RBI decided to cut its repo rate, cash reserve ratio. It pumped more money in the system. So that domestic demand is the next best alternative. Okay, agreed, outside people are not buying. At least people in my country should buy this. Yes. Domestic demand can also act like a barrier against giving me some benefit. It's better if I can't sell outside, at least let me sell inside my country. To boost domestic demand, RBI did this initiative. Then Government of India did the GST amendment also. Reduced most of the services to 0% GST. Very good. 5% GST so that consumers are able to afford things. If Americans are not buying, at least Indians should buy. Otherwise, where will I go? You see, all this we were doing in order to manage good amount of income. But Losing a market like America was not easy. It's a $48 billion market. So, what has happened? First time in October 25, we experienced a trade deficit. Trade deficit means our export income became less and our import expenditure became more. We are spending more on buying from outside and we are earning less by selling outside. That became the problem. Again today, we are experiencing a high trade deficit. Despite all these measures that we are taking, we are experiencing. Now, in between, another problem has happened. Indian currency also got devaluated. Now, if your currency's value is falling down, what happens to you? Will you be able to afford things from outside? Can you sell more efficiently outside? Yes. Your currency is so low that outside consumers will find your products very cheap despite the tariff. So, on paper, exports kept on increasing, and we were very happy that we are not impacted by America. But that's just a quantity, right? Income was coming down day by day. Today, we have seen $25.4 billion trade deficit that India is experiencing. It's 5 months low right now. Yes, very good. Hurry. That is what is happening. And why is it happening? As I just said, we lost American market. Our currency has devaluated. Geopolitical instability in West Asia. Sanctions against Russia, sanctions against trade with Iran. So, subdued exports. Our exports are not increasing at all. Even if they are increasing, they are happening because of currency depreciation. Profit is not coming. And therefore, imports are also becoming expensive day by day. So, what will happen? If I am spending more and earning less, what happens to my wallet? I will experience loss. Very good, Ramu. Absolutely. I will experience loss. So, in December, what happened? If you look at exports, how much have I sold outside? It is $38 billion. How much have I purchased from outside? $63.55 billion. See the gap between the two? The gap is called trade deficit. Higher imports are the main cause of this deficit. Plus, these imports are becoming expensive now. Earlier, I used to buy this one remote from Taiwan. It used to cost me 100 rupees in my country. I was buying. Today, my currency's value has fallen down. My currency's value fell down. The same remote, rather than costing me 100, is now costing me 500. What happens? I will spend more money in buying the same item. And very well, as Kritik said, it creates a quantitative effect, as Ramu said. On paper, the value of my currency is cheap now. I may not be able to buy these products because my currency is cheap, but I can sell them, right? You are an American. I send you 100 units of this remote. You will say, wow, her currency is so cheap. You will buy more from me. That means on paper my exports are increasing, but profit is still not increasing, no? Why? Because my currency itself has depreciated. What will happen as a result of all these? Exports are not giving me benefit. Plus there is tariff already to reduce the export. Import is very expensive. Currency is depreciating. Plus my imports are also increasing as compared to my export. The net result will be trade deficit. That's what India is having right now. So our performance has become weak therefore. Merchandise exports not increasing into goods. So that is the concern right now. And as per Commerce Secretary Mr. Rajesh Agarwal, this is a time of uncertainty. Right now we are in a loss situation. We must not give up. Let's focus on one thing. Let's keep on pushing and diversifying the markets. If not today, tomorrow stability will come. It will take time for us to be able to handle the tariff impact of America. It is not that easy. It will take time. It is not in our hands, hurry exactly. These are self-correcting mechanisms. Just by printing more notes, just by pushing more liquidity, you cannot suddenly improve the value of your currency. You can't. It is a bilateral equation always. Okay. So right now, dollar, it's like a lot of people are actually speculating that right now dollar is doing really well. Dollar is dominating, petrodollar is dominating, but you see changes are also coming slowly, slowly. India, Russia have already agreed to do bilateral trade in yuan. I told you, China's currency is now really becoming important as a counter to dollar. Plus, China already does most of the trade with Russia in yuan. Maybe under BRICS, we create a new currency altogether. So things will change. But right now, it is difficult. So market fluctuations and trade equations determine the value of your currency. Usually, it's a self-correcting mechanism. But right now, we have to also wait and watch what is going to happen. Now is a difficult time because naturally 50% tariff will have some impact. It is not that easy. So we are trying to offset that impact through various ways. And the biggest way, of course, is diversifying. Diversifying your trade. Very good. Well said. Well said. Absolutely. It totally depends on that. Now, quickly, what are the key export sectors for India therefore today? Electronic, pharmaceuticals. We all know India is a leader in generic medication. I have thoroughly explained you concepts like compulsory licensing. I have explained you concepts like generic medicine, patented medicine. Yes? TRIPS agreement, under which we have compulsory licensing. I hope that's clear to everyone. So India is a leader when it comes to generic medication, but the only problem is we depend on China for API. That's the raw material for making generic medicines. So China again dominates that area. Yes. Then meat and dairy products, marine products, engineering goods. So market diversification has been able to help us in pushing these exports. In future, we need to do the same. But things take time. Things don't get settled automatically. At the same time, China, if you look at China, with China also, India's trade deficit is increasing a lot actually. And China is getting a lot of surplus right now. China is in a surplus of $1.19 trillion. You might wonder why? Because China is the leader when it comes to supplying pharma, raw material, and rare earth material, as well as semiconductor critical minerals. So China leads there. Today, if you look at India-China trade also, India is typically taking from China electric goods, chemicals for making medicines, plastics. And what does India sell to China? Smartphone, marine products. So you see, China is right now in an advantageous situation. Now, as we end this session, it is in the budget of 2026 that the government is saying let's focus on rare earth minerals like thorium and uranium. So uranium may be deficit, but India has a great capacity for thorium. I told you in India there are states like Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. You have rich sands that have a lot of thorium there. So thorium mining can also help India in a big way. And that's the reason why India is also investing in a new technology that's known as thorium salt water reactors. Rather than using uranium, we are using thorium for these reactors. Okay, so since India is rich in that, for the budget 2026, our priority is very clear. We will have to now focus more on just exploring and just extracting upstream to actually processing, refining, and mining midstream and downstream. A report has come known as Deloitte India report, and it says in the budget of 26, Indian government should focus on processing, mining, and refining, that is mid plus downstream rare earth material in order to add more domestic value. India must invest more in recycling critical minerals. We all know that waste management is crucial here. When you have electronic waste, I may have so much electronic waste, my light, my studio, maybe after 5 years I need new equipment. And can I just go and throw all of this? I should not do that. Because whether it's a car battery, whether it's a smartphone, whether it's a screen board, all these also have trace critical minerals that were used to manufacture them. If you throw them or burn them, they cause environmental problems and they are a wastage. So, if we try to recycle the electronic waste, we can re-obtain so much critical element, so much critical mineral and REM that it can be recycled and reutilized for further manufacturing. So e-waste could be a great opportunity for us to reuse and reclaim old rare earth material and critical mineral. It's about creating a circular economy. So that's what India should do right now. That's a report coming from Deloitte. Why is it important? Because critical minerals, you all know, are crucial when it comes to solar cell batteries, wind turbine magnet, sintered magnet, semiconductor, then electronic items. So we need rare earth material. You also know China dominates. You also know most countries in the world have the capacity of upstream extraction, but they don't have the capacity of midstream and downstream. Refining, clearing, heating, that's midstream. Finally, recycling and reusing and production is downstream. I told you yesterday we must diversify our exports with countries which have a high budget like EU and America. We should do downstream. With countries which have a high raw material, we should do upstream partnership. And with countries like West Asia, Japan, we should do midstream partnership. Yes, it is about recycling, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Very good. And thank you for that comment, Terukula. As we are talking about compulsory license, I have mentioned India has only once invoked compulsory license, and that was to create a drug called Nexavar. That's a drug meant for kidney cancer. So very well said there, Terukula. Okay, so that's it for the day then. Last question, and I take your leave. With reference to the recommendations made by Deloitte India, look at these statements regarding critical minerals. 1. Union budget should extend support beyond exploration and mining to include processing, recycling of critical minerals and rare earth. Second, risk mitigation mechanisms are needed for Indian companies to invest in overseas critical mineral assets to reduce import dependence. And three, India is already fully self-sufficient in critical minerals, and therefore we do not need any budget support in this sector. So which of these are valid statements? Terukula Sitaram Priyanshu answer. As I wait for other answers, very good, Romi. That's valid. That's a major environmental fallout. Great Madhav, Hari, Sumit, Rajnishwar. Absolutely Neerath. Well said. Correct, Abhilash. Correct. All the statements here are valid. All the answers here are valid, sorry. Third is wrong. A is the right answer. First two are correct. So well answered as always. And now it's time I take your leave. That was it for today's news support. News coverage, because we had no Hindu. Tomorrow we shall have Hindu. So let's come back at 9:30 a.m. and do the Hindu lecture then. Try to finalize all the articles and talk about them. And as we do that, so thoroughly please prepare for your CSAT exam if you're writing prelims this year. And if your exam is next year, then now is the time. Start working and decide your option. Once you decide, don't go back. Look at the syllabus, compare all the syllabus, look at the questions, the subject with which you relate to, subject which you enjoy engaging with topics, subject which gives you a cause to think. Always choose that, no matter what it is. Okay? And read the newspaper, enjoy the current affairs, have a very analytical perspective. If you have question, ask it. Ask 1,000 questions. The more you ask, the better it is. Okay? So God bless each one of you. And I'll see you tomorrow then. Okay, God bless. Bye-bye. Yes, your code name told me, Priyanshu, what you will choose. Okay, thank you so much for sharing with us. Bye-bye, Eric. Bye-bye, Rajnishwar, Sumit, Ramu, Hari, Pushpita, Priyanshu, Kritik, Sitaram, Terukula, Bulbul, Akhtar, Aktopam, Saurav, Sumed, Sumit, and any other student who was with me, Priyanshu, Urapam, many code names, as well as Ramu, as well as Hari, Madhav, and Romi, and who else? Ershan, and Priyamvada, Abhilash, Kritik, Prathinkar, Kaizan, Akhtar, Pushpita, Neerath, Madhav. Okay, that's it. Kazu, Sitaram I have mentioned. Romi, Janvi, yes. Bilap, and that's it, I suppose. Okay. Okay, Madhav, Terukula. Thank you so much, Priyanshu. Okay.